Does a strong government help? Absolutely. In one example, fuel economy standards. It was possible, again, with this Senior Policy Advisory Group, to create a steering council of the decision makers, get them all in one room, and then by providing grant support to the affiliated research institutes with each of those ministries, and bringing in international best practice experts from Japan, European Union, the United States. They were able to develop then the policy analysis and the recommendations that this committee could adopt, and boom, it became the law of China. So a strong government certainly is crucial, and it's possible to get some real results rather quickly for the right kinds of things. But at the same time, China's government is very balkanized. And currently there is legislation being developed around the energy law, and one hopes that from that will come the formation of a Ministry of Energy that can help to coordinate some of these policies for public benefit. Will Chinese pay more for green? New technology costs more in those first units. And policies can be designed to help get new technologies through that phase and then into the market at a volume where things can be quite cheap. And with the scale of China's market, I think we can see very cost-effective renewable energy, and certainly with energy efficiency costing a quarter of new supply already. These are policy solutions that can be implemented today.
I'm going to try to put together 3 more questions here. One, I fantasize about a U.S.-China partnership for alternative energy development. Is it naive? Is it remotely possible? And then another one goes on to say, well, can we use compressed natural gas and liquid petroleum propane and things like that to solve the problem? And then, of course, one says, what about coal gasification? That might solve a lot of problems. They have a lot of coal, and that might solve a lot of the pollution problems. Is there enough coal gasification technology, and can it be implemented in China? And I'll start with you, Doug, since that's
okay.
And I'll go to all 3 of you.
I think the U.S.-China partnership around energy is crucial. The challenge is getting adequate funding for it, and that's always been the challenge with the U.S. Congress, is providing the kinds of funds that are crucial for getting this kind of bilateral program going. What more important program could there be than to help China get more energy efficient, help the United States get more energy efficient? With the price challenge around oil, with supply concerns, with, there's potential hostility around this. Energy efficiency is a way to diffuse those tensions, drive an economy in newer, cleaner technology, put more people to work. This is a win-win, and we should be funding it in this country. And it's something that the Committee of 100 could take a leadership role in, helping this U.S. Congress see the wisdom of helping both countries get more energy efficient. Compressed natural gas would be great. It wouldn't be great if China had a lot of natural gas, but so far it does not have the scale of natural gas that the United States has been able to benefit from, primarily through imports from Canada. There is gas. It is an important technology, and ramping that up as much as possible. It's one of the policy efforts that we've been engaging in China. Coal gasification. China will use its coal. Can it be done cleanly? There is a way to do it. It's technologically feasible. Right now, China has more coal gasifiers than any other country. This is a process where under high temperature and high pressure, you essentially crack coal into a into syngas, into a gas. And in that process, then, you can isolate the various constituent parts of coal. Currently, China uses mainly the ammonia from this process for the fertilizer industry. You can also add a turbine, generate electricity. That hasn't been done much yet in China. You can isolate methanol, which can be a vehicle fuel, hydrogen for fuel cells at a certain point in the future. But what's crucial and why environmentalists are intrigued with this technology is that you can isolate a pure stream of carbon dioxide, which is the leading greenhouse gas, and potentially sequester it. Now, sequestration has been demonstrated around the world. It's primarily used in enhanced oil recovery. By pumping it into the ground, you can get cost-effective oil out. And it's being done all over the United States. It's not being done that much yet in China. But putting these technologies together, carbon capture and sequestration with coal gasification, is clearly a development path for China and is part of this U.S.-China partnership. But really scaling that up and being serious about the scale up with adequate resources is the challenge.
Victoria?
Yeah, I think this is actually an excellent area that the U.S. and China should actually cooperate a lot more together. There are a lot of common interests for both nations. I mean, if you think about the two largest nations in the world that is contributing to the annual increase in growth and demand, those two countries are the U.S. and China. Both are worried about the geopolitics around oil, around securing supply. I think in terms of regulatory policy approaches, we at Platts just recently hosted last month in Beijing a symposium for the NDRC officials to try to help them learn more about what do open markets look like? What does market liberalization look like? When I visited there, the idea came to me when I heard the officials, were very proud that they were translating and reviewing the 1,352 pages of the Energy Policy Act that the U.S. passed 2 years ago. And I said, unfortunately, that Policy Act in the U.S. isn't exactly working out the way it should. But here's some best practices that we observe around the world that perhaps can help you as you draft your energy law. We're a private sector enterprise. I think there's certainly a lot more that can be done on that front in terms of sharing the best practices. What are the policy approaches that actually work? Second is the area of technologies. We heard, yesterday, I think, on one of the investment panels, when you talk about what's a hot sector that's ripe for investment, you have a combination of technology and energy, and that should be an important sector. And we heard a lot just on this panel alone, the impact that new technologies and innovation can have in changing the rules of the game as you go forward. And here again, the government can probably do a lot more in terms of liberalizing the kinds of foreign direct investment, let's say, or allowing more venture capital to help fund these new kinds of technologies. And then I think finally, just if the U.S., nothing short of acting in its own selfish interest, should actually pay more attention to this area, because if you think about it, global markets are linked in energy. Oil prices are globally linked. If the U.S. can actually work more closely with China to try to lower demand, create more energy efficiency kinds of programs, if China can lower its consumption, that will have an impact on global oil prices. And so again, if nothing else, from a purely selfish interest point of view, the U.S. government should, absolutely, there could be a lot more areas of cooperation here.
Dr. Shi?
Yeah, certainly in alternative energy sector, there's great opportunities for both countries to collaborate. And one area is, as Victoria mentioned, is like this, incentive policy, to promote alternative energy applications. So United States and other Western countries has set up some examinaries. So I think China can take advantage of this. And in terms of technology, certainly I believe in bioethanol or solar sectors. So there are many startup R&D companies and new technology being developed in US, especially in Silicon Valley. So we do see there's opportunity for us to work together in the future.
Well, we're out of time, and the next session is on China going green. We're going to have to stop, and it's too bad, Dr. Shi, because several people wanted to know about whether they should buy your stock. But I guess we won't. I guess we won't be able to answer that question today. Maybe another time. Thank you all.